I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to this Monday evening. I hope that you're doing well. Started watching your show election night. Haven't missed one since. Keep up the good work. The Realist. I don't know if I know you in real life. If I don't know where you're from, if you're from Muncie or Delaware County or Madison County or Anderson or anywhere else in East Central Indiana or beyond, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm welcoming all of you here. All of you. Joe Black says, I hate it when you're on the toilet and you notice there's no toilet paper left, and then you have to walk with your trousers around your ankles to get another roll. Anyway, I'm nearly at the Walmart now, you idiot. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. A great start to your week. It is Monday fun day. Oh man, you know what I didn't do? My. I am asleep at the wheel. I want to first apologize for being a few moments late. I actually let the time get away from me. I've been really good about getting the show loaded and in the studio and everything ready, enough time for there to be several hours, if not maybe a whole day for preparation for the show, for it to be up, or at least 20 to 30 minutes ahead of time. But tonight, it got away from me because I was reading and listening to some of the Delphi murder information, which we're going to be talking about here in just a moment. So the time got away from me, and I apologize. I do want to welcome you all to the show. Welcome you. Thank you for being here. We are on Bilbrey time. Yes. I do want to say thank you to all of you because, look, we know that you could be someplace else, and we are very fortunate for you to be here. Myself and producer Kate. Brandon's been in the chat, in our private group chat, talking, and we've been sharing things that's going on nationally and whatnot. So we've had a lot of things going on. Hey, listen, GW, I will get that up and going. Obviously, as you're aware, I've been dealing with some personal matters on top of the crazy election. Now that is behind us, I will have some time. And then in my off time, I've been going through the Gaston stuff. So things have been kind of a little hairy, but now that we are out of the election cycle, now that the Gaston stuff, we're getting ready to come to a close on that to do the show there, we will be able to get that going. So you guys, so that'll be up for people to hear. That is very important. I am just about halfway through that recording myself. Hey, you see it? It's right here. It's right there. Do those things. If you're on YouTube, please give us a like. Help us feed the algorithm. Those monsters, they like to eat, and apparently the only thing they can eat is our likes. So hit that thumb. That would be great. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. And the only reason that you need to subscribe is so that you can then hit the bell so you get notified when we go live, when we drop shorts and other content, like static videos, because that's what you need to know. Because when we go live is pretty much the same time every night. We are live 5 nights a week, Sunday through Thursday. We normally take Fridays and Saturdays off. However, this Friday, ladies and gentlemen, we will be live this Friday for a very special show this Friday. Matter of fact, when I get off of this show tonight, I'm going to go ahead and make the link. I'm going to go ahead and set it all up. So the link will be there. People can go ahead and share it. People can go ahead and get set up in the comments. You can start commenting things. So when we're off of this program tonight, I'm going to go ahead and set it all up. So you will know, and everything will be ready to go. So if you're interested in hearing what's going on, if you're interested in looking at all of the records, and when I say all of the records, folks, I want you to know, I mean a lot of records, then you're going to want to tune in Friday at a very special time, 1 hour early. And I'm telling you, get your sleep on Thursday, prepare yourself Friday, because it's going to be a long show. It's more than likely going to be a 3-hour show. That's the reason we're starting early. So 3 hours is always easier when you start at 8 than starting at 9 and going, obviously. So please be looking out for that. That will be very important. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will be this coming Friday the 15th. And we will get that rolling. I still get people, even though we've been telling like everybody when it's going to be, and I've been making sure to let everybody know that, like, hey, it's coming. We're doing it this Friday. I'm still getting people messaging me like daily. A lot of people being like, hey, when are you going to do the Gaston? And I get it. There's a lot of people that are concerned. A lot of people are interested for various different reasons. So I completely understand that. No hard feelings. Call me. I have never have a problem with someone asking me things like that. It lets me know that you guys are with it, you're paying attention, and that you're interested. So that's good. I'm actually killing time here so I could get this stupid overlay to load, and it looks as though it is loading. Hey, if you're watching this live, we are obviously bringing this episode 327 to you live on Monday, November 11th, 2024. And although November 11th is just a cool day because it's 11/11, which is amazing. Besides it being just a cool day, it also happens to be Veterans Day. And we here at the Political Spotlight want to offer our thanks to the men and women that have served, to all of the men and women that have served, those that signed up and did everything they could to give their all for this country and came home. And of course, to those that did not. And I'm fully aware that we've got Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and Memorial Day you celebrate these people, and Veterans Day you celebrate these people. I'm fine with just celebrating both on all days. So, and honestly, we need to give them thanks more than just these 2 days out of the year. So my hat's off to the brave men and women that have served, those that signed up and came home, and those obviously that did not, those that gave all. I have a great uncle who was killed in World War II. My grandmother, who I talk about on the show, her brother, Private David Marvin, was killed in World War II. Actually made it through D-Day. Unbelievable. He was one of the few that was as strong and willed as J.D. Prescott, and made it up the beaches and past all of that chaos and carnage. Obviously, I was being facetious there. J.D. Prescott is should not even be said in the same sentence as those men that did that. But David DM is what my family called him. Made it further into country, and then lost his life with 4 other soldiers a short time there later. But so we're obviously giving thanks to all of those folks, and our hats off to them. So just briefly, we'll take a moment of silence for those that have served and have had issues and came home, and obviously those who did not. Alrighty. So besides that, we've got some other. Let's see here. My grandpa died in World War II, but he had a young surgeon who wouldn't give up. My grandpa died in World War II, but he had a young surgeon who wouldn't give up on him and massaged his heart for an hour and revived him, and that's how I'm here today. Oh, that's interesting. I was wondering how we were getting to. It would have been possible for your mother to have been born or father to have been born prior. So I was like, yeah, okay, it makes sense that she's typing, but I'm glad that surgeon was there to do what that surgeon needed to do. Let me ask you, if I may, how much longer after he got home did he survive? Did he live a long, healthy life after that? Or what was the deal there? Y'all see Bitcoin? I did not. Bot Hummel, let me know what's going on with Bitcoin, Mr. Bot Hummel. And Teresa there with the wrench. The lizard lover says Prescott is a lazy coward. My thoughts, absolutely, completely agree with you there. He did. He was 80 when he died of a massive heart attack. Well, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that he died of a massive heart attack, but it's fortunate that he lived until 80. So that's.
So to answer your Bitcoin question, the Bitcoin started the day before election. It was at $67,000.
Yeah.
And today it closed at $88,000.
Wow. Holy crap. Well,
it's finding crazy.
Yeah, that's that's some crazy stuff there. Oh, what an amazing time to be alive in America. All of the good, the bad. It's going to 100K before next dip. Said it last night when it was 10 racks less. Woo, Clinton. You are throwing rocks tonight. Let me tell you. Hey, it's the way my brother, who is actually in the Navy and is in Italy right now. He he's all into the stock market and doing all that stuff and watching all that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what goes on with him. But the Bitcoin is very, very intriguing, and everything going on with all of that. It's definitely an interesting time in America. All of the doom and the gloom and the good and the happy. It's like so night and day. Like, it's really crazy to listen to people. Like, what's interesting to me is prior to the election, both sides were like doom and gloom. Everybody was doom and gloom. Now it's like one side's doom and gloom and one side's like, so it's really interesting. Really interesting. It's going to be an amazing ride. Dow was up over 300 today. Look, we're getting ready to turn into Mad Money. I mean, who knew? Bam! Or whatever that guy does. I don't know. He like plays little interesting tidbit sounds and things like that on the soundboard. That's what we need to do. I need to stand up, hold the microphone, have the camera that comes up in my face and shake sideways and stuff. No, okay. On to some other important stuff that we probably need to talk about and I know more about. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's really, I was going to place on here, as I said. I mean, I might as well do it because it is for us. It's like breaking news for us, but it's not really breaking news. So for those that maybe haven't heard, listen, I'll tell you this. I was actually at my grandparents' earlier today, and so I did not hear this. I first heard this like 2 hours ago. I was completely out of the loop on this. But the jury in the Delphi double murder trial came back with a verdict against Richard Allen. And I heard someone else do this little rundown earlier. And so I want to make sure everyone's aware. This rundown is not my own. I did not write this. I am just going to deliver this because I thought that this was interesting. So 17 days of testimony, 64 witnesses, 387 exhibits, like state's exhibits and defense exhibits for trial. 7.5 years since the murders were committed. 2 years since the arrest of Richard Allen. 21 days since opening statement was first given. 4 days of deliberation of 19 to 20 hour days. So these jurors, normally the judge, like on the first day, will have them, like so you normally don't get the case at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? You normally, if you're a jury, you're sitting in there and, you get the case like at midday, or you get the case at like 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock. And generally when that happens, depending on what the situation is, the judge will let them go ahead and start. Sometimes the jury doesn't get the case until 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And the judge will say, well, we'll go ahead and start first thing tomorrow. Well, when that happens, depending on when they get it, if they get it in the middle of the day or if they start fresh in the morning, like the first day, the judge will let them go generally. If it's 15, 16, 18, 20 hours, because the hope always is that they're going to get in and they're going to be able to get through what they need to get through and do their job to the best of their ability and make a ruling in that first day. And so they'll let them go. But after that first or second day of doing like 19, 20 hour days, the judge will kind of start backing them down, and because you don't want to like just completely wear them out, the jurors. But the jurors in this case were saying, no, we want to stay at it. And I've talked to some journalists that were up there. I've talked to a couple of other folks that were in the area and involved with this. And they said that out of all of the trials they have ever covered, that this jury was one of the most astute. They were very interested in listening and gaining the information. They were like almost all taking notes. If you've never served on a jury, you don't really understand. I would love to serve on a jury. Even though I've been a police officer, even though I've worked in the prosecutor's office, I would be fair. I would absolutely be fair and would let, I wouldn't be like, well, it's just I would be an impartial juror. But they have like notepads that the jury can take notes. And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is in the state of Indiana, the jury is actually allowed to ask questions. So when you have a witness on the stand and the prosecution's presenting their case and they go up and they're asking questions, then the defense attorney can cross-examine them. And then sometimes that's it. Or sometimes they will do the prosecution, then they'll do defense cross-examination, then the prosecution can get them again, and then the defense can actually get them again. And then obviously the judge can ask some, various questions throughout. But in the state of Indiana, after that process plays out, the jury can then ask questions. Now, that does not mean the questions that the jury ask will always be asked, because what happens is the judge looks at it, then the judge brings up both the prosecution and the defense, and they look at that. If you can, star Catherine's comment, because I do want to come back to that. We are going to talk about my thoughts in this, and hopefully you guys will relay your thoughts as well. I need to get over here so I can see the comments. So the jury was asking a lot of questions in this case, and a lot of the people that were in the room were saying that the jury was asking a lot of really good questions, that people actually thought that in a lot of cases the jury was asking better questions than the prosecution or the defense ever really even asked the specific witnesses. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is when it's the prosecution's witness and the prosecution questions them, and then the defense gets a chance, the defense can't just ask them anything willy-nilly. The defense basically has to stay in the parameters of what the prosecution asked. If the defense attorney wants to ask them something outside of that, they have to have them under subpoena. So both sides can have a witness under subpoena. But if one witness is under subpoena for one or the other side, basically when you get to cross-examination, you have to stick to basically what was opened up under direct examination. And that's sometimes confusing for a lot of people. So the jury had this 4 days of 19, 20-hour days. And there were a lot of people that said they did not think that they would come back today. And then they did. They came back guilty on all 4 counts. Now, I want to be really clear about this. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the kind of the housekeeping parts of this, like the various things, the ins and outs of what's going on, and then we'll get into my thoughts on this and your thoughts, and we'll take a look at this, because this was very controversial from start to finish. I absolutely agree, Tweety Bird and Catherine. Are we sure he did it? There's a lot to be said about all of this. So basically, the state of Indiana, which is the prosecution, they had charged Richard Allen with 4 counts. They charged him with felony murder count 1, felony murder count 2, murder count 3, and murder count 4. And that's it. Four charges. 2 counts of felony murder and 1 count of murder. Now, a lot of people, and we've talked about this a lot on here, so forgive me because I know a lot of you know this, but some might not. People will say, well, wait a minute, isn't murder a felony? What's felony murder? What's the difference between murder and felony murder? Well, murder is not technically, it is a felony, it's not a felony. Murder is its own charge in the state of Indiana. So when you're charged with possession, or you're charged with battery, and you're charged with an A misdemeanor, you're charged with a level 6 felony, you're charged with a level 2 felony, those are the criminal charges. Those are the levels of the charge. Murder is like MR. It's above felony. It's above level 1 felony. So murder in the state of Indiana is the unlawful taking of a life. There can be a lawful taking of a life. If you're at home sleeping in your bed at night and you're sleeping there and someone breaks into your house and comes to your bedroom and is standing there with a knife, and you pick up the old pew and you put 3 in center mass and call 911, and that person collapses in the doorway, you have committed homicide. A police officer can commit homicide. You can commit homicide. Homicide is just the killing of a human being. It's not criminal or one way or another. If it is a lawful or justified homicide, then that's what it is. It's a lawful or justified homicide. If it is an illegal, unlawful homicide, then you've committed murder, or maybe it's manslaughter, the various different things. So murder is just the knowingly or intentionally taking the life of a human being in the state of Indiana. Felony murder is when you've taken a life in the commission of a felony. So, for example, if you go in to rob a bank, okay, if you go in and you rob a bank and you're in the process of an armed robbery and you shoot the teller and you kill the teller, you've committed robbery, which is a felony, and you've also committed felony murder, which is a murder being committed in the action of a felony, okay, while committing a felony. What people don't understand a lot of times, and it's got nothing to do with this case, but while we're talking about it, I always make sure to remind people of this. You can commit felony murder without intending to commit felony murder. If, for example, you go get a bar of soap like John Dillinger, and you take your old pocket knife and you carve that bar of soap into your best looking handgun, and you've now got a bar of soap that looks like a handgun, and you take that black shoe polish and you make it look black like a gun, and you take that bar of soap, which could not harm a fly, and you take that bar of soap in to rob a gas station, and you point that bar of soap at the elderly gas station attendant, you say, give me all the money in your drawer, you're committing robbery. Well, if that gas station attendant is so nervous and so high strung that they have a heart attack and die while you're robbing them with that bar of soap, you never intended to kill anybody. You weren't going to hurt a fly. You were going to get the money and leave. You've committed felony murder, and a lot of people don't understand that. That's why it's always very, very, very careful. The other thing to know is if you're the getaway driver and somebody else, you're just going to drive the person. You're not even going into the store. You don't want to do it. They just roped you into driving. If you're behind the wheel and your partner goes in with a bar of soap and kills that person because they have a heart attack, you, my friend, are going to be charged at least with conspiracy to commit felony murder. So keep those things in mind. Now, in this case, Richard Allen, rightly or wrongly, all right, we'll say that right now, was charged with 4 counts. 2 counts of felony murder. So they are alleging that this man killed these 2 girls while in the commission of a felony. All right. So he's charged with killing Abby and Libby, 2 counts of felony murder, and he's charged with 2 counts of murder, just regular murder, regular old murder, plain old murder, for killing or for allegedly killing Abby and Libby. Now, what's extremely odd about this situation is this has been really tightly sealed from the very beginning, okay? I titled tonight's show Delphi Breaking Bad. And I was bored and really didn't have a whole lot of thought process, but I'll explain to you why. Everybody loves 99% of the population have loved the show Breaking Bad. And everybody talks about it and talks about it was a masterpiece. How the writing and the way that it was shot and the acting. And I love Bryan Cranston. I love Bryan Cranston. He's a wonderful actor. I love the guy that played Jesse. I love a lot of the actors that were in that show. I have tried to watch Breaking Bad probably like 10 different times. I tried to watch it when it was originally on. I tried to watch it in the middle. We tried to start over, my ex-wife and I. My ex-wife and I tried starting watching it like 4 or 5 times, different times. One time we both had the flu, and like the Netflix was on and Breaking Bad just came on, and the remote was far away from us, and neither one of us could get it, and so we just started watching it that way. Another time I had a kidney stone, and the same thing happened. I just didn't want to feel like getting up and changing the remote, so it came on. And the problem with me is I've never seen Breaking Bad all the way through. The problem with this is I just cannot get into it. Now, there's a lot of shows that people say, oh, it starts slow, but you just got to get into episode 5. You've just got to get past episode 3. Sometimes they'll say you just got to get past the first season. You got to watch the first season, but you just stomach it through. And everybody's always said that, like, you got to get past like you got to get past like episode 6. And I'm telling you, for the love of God, I can't do it. I've actually got past it, and I've got into like season 2, maybe even the beginning of season 3. But for one reason or another, normally when I get into a television show, there's a point where I cannot let it down. I have to see the end of it. And come hell or high water, I will watch it. I'm telling you, folks, I cannot, for the love of God, get into Breaking Bad. It just drags and drags, and it's insane. And so now what's this got to do with Delphi murder? Well, I remember right where I was when the announcement came out. I don't believe that they actually did a Amber Alert, and I don't believe that the law was changed for Silver Alerts at the time, back in February 13th of 2007. That being said, even though there wasn't an Amber Alert per se, there was a lot of hubbub over this. Obviously, I'm broadcasting from East Central Indiana. Yellowstone is fabulous, man. I've watched Yellowstone. Oh, I could watch bits and pieces and it backwards and frontwards and forwards. I love Kevin Costner. I love Yellowstone. an amazing film. Yeah, you're right. It's nothing like Yellowstone. So I remember where I was when all of this happened, and I was still married at the time, and having been I'm very strange. So having been a former police officer, and I have an investigative mind. I'm really strange. I don't sit around and listen to the scanner. Yeah. Okay. 2 years later, is when that. So they were killed and they went missing on February 13th, 2007, and they were found on Valentine's Day, the 14th. So the silver alert law was changed 2 years later. And that might have been part of it. I think if I'm not mistaken, that they at least used part of their case as saying, like, look, we need to change this for this reason. And I don't know that it would have helped anything. It is what it is. Anyways, I'm not somebody that sits around and listens to the police scanner. I listened to the scanner enough while I worked. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't like hearing all the bad things that go on. I'm inundated with all the bad stuff that goes on in politics. I don't need to hear every time there's a drug overdose. I don't need to hear every time someone is stabbing their neighbor and the police are getting called out. I just do not sit and listen to the scanner. I don't visit scanner pages frequently. I post on scanner pages. I post my podcast and stuff, but I just don't do the whole police thing. I don't sit around and listen and doom and gloom. I don't do it. Did it when I was a cop. I don't want to, I'm not going to do it for nothing now, just sitting around. That's not something I do. There are periods in time where something might be going on and someone says, hey, you should turn the scanner on. And I will click that on and listen for a few minutes to hear what's up, but I just don't sit around and listen. Oh yeah, the entire town of Delphi, everyone in surrounding communities, it was a massive deal that went into looking for those girls. And I remember standing on my porch telling my wife and my ex-wife, they're dead. Like, I just seeing the pictures of these girls, like it didn't make sense that they had ran away. It didn't make sense that everyone kept saying, like, could they have got down and somebody got hurt? And so then the other one was staying with them. I did not. Delphi Murders was in 17. Wait a minute. When did it happen? It was 7 years ago, not 2007. When did it happen in 2017? Let me go back. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, it was 7 years ago. I keep saying 2007. I'm sorry. It was 2017. February of 2017, not 2007. Please forgive me. I did not mean 2007. I meant 2017. So I don't know. You said 2009 was when it was updated. Was there something there then after that? Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with the silver alert. All right. So we're a little wrong on our time there. I meant 17. It was February 13th, 2017. Sorry. That was all right. Thank you for clarifying that. I would hate to have walked back at the end of this and watched this and been like, oh no, I didn't correct that. I hate not correcting stuff like that. I am so sorry. February 13th, 2017. Whew, okay. I just remember telling my wife, I was like, they're dead. I mean, I had that feeling like these are not, they didn't look like girls that were going to run away. It didn't seem like they were like crazy troublemakers or whatever. And then obviously the next day when it came out that there were 2 bodies that were found, I mean, it's like, look, they weren't releasing that it was them. They said that there were 2 bodies that were found. And obviously, like, look, this is a very small community, Delphi. It's not going to be like, what's the chances that there would be 2 girls that are missing, and then all of a sudden there's 2 bodies here. Clearly, everyone in the world knew that this was, unfortunately, those girls. And from that point forward, it was nothing. Silence. Now, listen, I understand from an investigative point of view the need to hold information back from the public. I understand the need to be able to play offensive with the people that you're interviewing and questioning in those situations. And, you know, I get it, you know. So I just remember thinking like, all right, you know, it's going to go, and you know, things will slowly start to leak out as they do. They'll release bits of information, and then that just never happened. That never, ever, ever, ever happened. And, you know, I thought that was really, really strange that just like nothing was coming out. Well, I know that there was a lot of people that speculated around all of this that the reason they were being so tight-lipped is because a lot of people felt that maybe the suspect had something to do with law enforcement, or maybe the suspect was tied to the town, like, you know, was like the son of a council person, or was like the mayor's brother, or was an EMS person, you know, something of that nature. Because, you know, why else was like literally there was just nothing. I mean, past the point of what you would hold for investigative reasons, there was just nothing that came out. And then they released the sketches, and there were 2 different sketches, and one sketch looked like, okay, looks like, you know, it fits the whole, the whole look of the bridge guy. Then they released the other sketch that looked nothing like, you know, you have 2 wildly different sketches, totally competing with one another. And that was interesting. You had one of the witnesses that on the day of, and this witness talked about on the stand how she did not want to have any part of this. She was resentful actually being there testifying. Like, she wanted to help the little girls, but she did not like this. She did not like being in any kind of spotlight. She is someone that suffers from anxiety, and she just doesn't like anything to do with this. Did not want anything to do with this. The day of, she was driving in the area, and she saw an individual who was walking on the side of the road, who was covered in mud and blood. And she said she definitely said that the person had mud on them, and she thought that they had fallen. At the time, in her mind, she didn't know that there were people missing. And so she thought that this individual in her description, he had fallen and like rolled because he had mud on him and he had blood on him. And so she thought that he had been hurt. And she, you know, she was very adamant that she saw blood. And then within just a few, maybe an hour of that, she then heard, oh my God, there's this big search. There's these girls missing. I was just in the area. I saw this person walking with mud and blood. she didn't immediately contact the police then. She contacted the police 3 weeks later. And it not only did she didn't contact the police. The police were doing a thing where they were basically doing almost like an OWI stop, where they were just stopping cars on the road and saying, hey, do you know anything? Hey, do you know anything? Hey, do you know anything? And she happened to be one of the people they stopped. And she was like, oh, yeah, by the way, on that day, I saw a man walking with mud and blood on him. And they were like, what? You got to come in and talk. And she's actually the person who gave the information for the sketch that we know of, the older man sketch with the hat on and all of that. But, you think about that. And that's what I always tell people. And I tell people this in the Ashley Morris Mullis case. Ashley Morris Mullis for Don Morris. Even if you have just the stupidest little glint of, I saw something out of ordinary, do not keep that in. Tell somebody, because you might think that you have just something that someone else has told, that your information is stupid. You might think that you're going to be ridiculed or people's going to make fun of you. But there's a lot of times things like this are solved off of just the craziest little bit of information that someone gives that they were holding on to because they thought that 100 other people had said it, when in fact nobody else had. That's why I say that stuff's always important. It's really strange because humans are horrible witnesses. We are horrible witnesses. We are horrible eyewitnesses seeing something. You'll have a situation go down and you'll have 10 people ID the situation, and they'll give, 6 or 7 different makes of the model of the car, or they'll say he was wearing a blue jacket, he was wearing a green jacket, he was wearing a black jacket. People are bad eyewitnesses, and specifically in something that's like a trauma situation. They see bits and pieces, their brains kind of blocking stuff out, their brains putting in, fitting in puzzle pieces to make stuff make sense, and it's really bad. But when anyone has information like this, even if you think that it's not important, you have to talk to the police, and sooner rather than later. When you wait 3 weeks, that's very detrimental. And she found out because, the defense really gave her a hard time about this, and that's unfortunate. And it just made her whole involvement much worse, honestly. Going back to this, though, the whole case was weird because, they weren't saying anything, and then we get this picture of this bridge guy, and it's like everyone was like, do you know this guy? And I'm like, yeah, that's every man that I know. Bridge guy looked like literally, I look like bridge guy. I was like, yeah, that's me. I wasn't there. That's me. That's some fat dude walking on this bridge. That looked like me. I got a jacket like that. I'm like, that looks more than likely like 90% of every man in Delphi. It was just a really weird thing. And I have always been, I'm going to tell you something really strange. That thing that says down the hill. I have always maintained that I do not believe that voice is saying down the hill. And then, a couple years later, when they released 4 more seconds of it, and it says, guys down the hill. I'm going to tell you what I think that is. I do not believe, unless and until they release the entire thing and we hear it and it's saying guys down the hill and something else or whatever to make it make sense. I think that this is an example of pareidolia, kind of. or which is where you'll see like animals in clouds, and the human mind makes patterns, and so you're like, oh, that looks like a face. Or you'll look at a picture and you'll see dots and pieces of light and shadows, and you're like, oh, look, it looks like a ghost. It's because your mind is making a pattern out of something it sees, and it makes it see something that's not there. Well, there's another example of that other than in visuals, and it's in backmasking music and things like that. And this all goes into the whole Ozzy Osbourne, Suicide Solution, the Paul is dead rumors on the Beatles, and Led Zeppelin being Satan worshipers. When you flip the music backwards and you listen and you're like, oh my God, it says I buried Paul. It says, Lord Satan, or it says, get the gun, shoot, shoot, shoot. It's not saying those things. It's not saying those things. It's noise. And if you listen to it, you couldn't make out what it's being said. But once someone tells you, listen, you're hearing Robert Plant say, I pray to Satan. And then you hear, and you're like, oh God, I did hear it. It's the power of suggestion. So the moment they play that and it says down the hill, I was like, that's ruined. To me, I didn't sound like down the hill. I don't know. Maybe it was. But later you hear Abby say, there's no path. How is that something that's come out in the trial? What do you mean later you hear that? Where have you been, Tweety Bird? What do you mean? Wait a minute. Is that something that's come out in the trial? I got to look for this. Stand by. I'm going to look on this other computer so I don't mess things up. That's come out in the trial. All right, stand by here. We're going to listen to this. And you've actually heard Abby say, there's no path.
So I found a video that shows audio illusion.
Yeah, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Play it. Yeah, this is great.
That is embarrassing. 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 That is embarrassing.
That isn't my receipt. Lobsters in motion. I hear every one of them.
That is embarrassing.
I'm chasing Martin. Yeah, everyone. I love that. That's great. Those are great examples. It's like the whole green needle, or what's the other one? Brainstorm. Green needle, brainstorm. Or the yellow, blue, gold, black kind of thing. Humans are weirdos. I don't believe the video. It's way different than the pic of her walking across the bridge. I don't know what you're talking about. So, that's the other thing. So let me tell you this. Here's the thing. This is the whole tie-in with Breaking Bad. So I'm kind of a true crime fan, but not really. I don't like true crime podcasts. I like historical things. I don't like new things. I think it's very gross. I think it's, and please forgive me, all you people out there that are podcast listeners that listen to this. I don't mean anything negative of you. I guess it kind of is. I'm not. This is just my opinion. I think that true crime podcasts a lot of times are similar to almost like snuff films, snuff audio. Like, it's very gross. They can be done in a tactful way, but there are so many that aren't. And so I don't know what no means. I need more than no. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Soon as well, I'm going to talk to you about the trial here in a minute too. Audio released by Indiana State Police in the Delphi homicide investigation. Okay, and this is what was originally released. Turn it up so you all can hear it. Because the guys sound so much different than the down the hill. Guys, down the hill. All right, here we go. Listen, we're going to listen again. Down the hill. 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 Okay, so whoever said that you've heard there's no path, send me a link. You gotta tell me where I can find there's no path. Because I'm looking, and I mean, obviously, if you've heard it, it's got to be out there somewhere. Unless you were in the trial, if you're telling me. Okay, let's see here. Or, all right. Yeah, we're gonna get to that because I kind of question. There's some things I question about this. I have some serious issues with it. And Cindy says, I heard it was the family and they did some satanic ritual with them. Yeah, Tweety Bird, absolutely. I like to see the victims get their justice too. I want, well, stand by, because I'm going to talk about, we're going to talk about all sides of this. Obviously, I like to see, no, I don't want the victims to get their justice. Screw the victims. Clearly, I want the victims to get their justice. I'm just saying, and listen, I'm not dogging any of you people that are true crime buffs or true crime listeners or whatever. I get it. I understand it. I'm just saying there are a lot of people out there that do true crime that only do it in a way that it's not. There's a way that it can be done that it's good, and there's a way that it can be done that's not good. And I think there's fewer people that do it tastefully than that. There's more that do it the other way. So I have literally, throughout the 7 years of this ordeal, tried to soak up as much information about this as I could. And like Breaking Bad, I just could not get into it. Every time that I listened or watched anything about the Delphi murder investigation, listened to any podcast, I could never get past. There's so many I started and I didn't get all the way through the first episode. I just couldn't get, I could not get into it because it was so much speculation. None of it was based off of any factually known information. So I literally got to a point where I said, I will listen to this and I will follow what happened once a trial happens. and once all the information is out. Well, then 2 years ago, Richard Allen, he's arrested. He's arrested. And it's got to be him. He looks like the first picture. He lives there in town. He says he was in the area. Then there's this situation where he's got a gun. There was a bullet that was laying under one of the girl's deceased bodies. And that bullet just so happens to have the ejection mark on the shell that's made from a gun, this is what they're alleging, that Richard Allen possessed. Now, listen to me. You can tell how a bullet is fired through a gun. You can tell the firing pin, and you can tell by the lands and the grooves in the gun going through the bullet. That is actual science. As far as the ejection pin ejecting the bullet, they make marks on the casing. However, I find it hard to believe that, because the bullet wasn't fired. We're not talking about a fired round. We're just talking about you load up a magazine, put it in the butt of the gun, you rack the slide, and it jams the bullet into the pipe. Then you drop the magazine and you pull back the slide, ejecting the bullet without being shot. And there puts marks on the casing. And they were saying it matched up to his gun. They arrested him. And what's the very first thing they did? They hid the probable cause sheet. You don't do that. You cannot do that. It cannot do that. Let me tell you, folks, you can hide the arrest report. You can hide the investigative notes until trial. You can hold back and not release so much. But we as Americans, there are things that have to happen in order for our rights as human beings to be taken. Man or woman, you're being arrested. You can't just be picked up one day by the police in America and slammed into a hole and the key thrown away and you to be in a dark hole and nobody to know what's going on, what you're being charged with, anything. And that's what they did. Now, there are times where they will seal the PC sheet, the probable cause affidavit, for a period of time. Like if there are multiple arrests that are needed to be made, or for example, if you and I are involved in a crime and I get picked up and I tell some damning information on you and they're coming to get you, you know, they might seal my PC sheet for a moment, but the way that they were wanting to fight to seal that PC sheet, how strange it was. Listen, the trial's over and there's still a gag order placed on the cops, the family. And let me tell you this. They are, the judge said, you cannot talk to the media or anyone until I tell you you can. And the trial's over. And they've still put this gag order in place. Why? What would be the point of having this gag order in place after it's said and done. I'm telling you, I'm just going to be honest. I fully believe that there is some way hinky stuff going on here. And I don't even mean the jailers and the Odinism stuff. I don't mean anything about that. I just mean, I think the prosecution was hell-bent on getting a conviction rather than hell-bent on finding the truth. Prosecutors cannot be hell-bent on a conviction. They have to be hell-bent on finding the truth. The judge has to be a part of finding the truth. These people were so weird. Hold on here. Okay. Why I'm getting this. Okay. Kate, can you go to the TPS program and pull up that thing that Tweety Bird sent? I don't want it. It's weird. The computer out. Well, technically it wasn't 7. It would have been 5 years. It would have been 5 years after the murder, Nicole, because it's 7 years now. But I get your point. Yes, there were issues with the evidence we got to see. However, there was a lot of things we haven't seen that the jurors have. No one around the families has ever thought it was a cult ritual. Yeah, no. Crazy One, you're obviously, I think, new here, and I appreciate your comments. And I absolutely agree with you. That's just crap that you hear. The problem with me, and what you're saying there is absolutely true. There's information that we don't know that the jurors have seen. The problem that I have is once it's been through the court, once it has been adjudicated, it now technically should be public record, and everything should be releasable. And the fact that the judge still has a gag order in place, and the fact that this is still the public, the press, the media, which I am not. I'm a political commentator. I'm not a journalist. The fact that we still cannot view what's happening here is freaking weird. All right. Delphi double murder trial, extended video from victim's phone played in court. Now, there were lots of people that were able to sit in, and in the state of Indiana, very often we are not able to record court, which is, I think, a travesty. Oh, hold on. Go back down. Well, what did that say down there? A video filmed by 14-year-old victim Libby German just before she was murdered in Delphi, Indiana, was played for the jury during Richard Allen's trial. Allen is accused of killing Libby and 13-year-old Abby Williams while the best friends walked on a trail in their small town on the afternoon of February 13th. The 30-second clip. Okay, so keep in mind what we were hearing. Let me go back to this real quick here. So it says, so all right, looking at this video that Kate showed me. All right, 3 seconds. So the thing that says guys down the hill, guys down the hill. When we hear that, that's 3 seconds. So there are still 27 seconds that we have not seen. So the 30-second clip of the video played Tuesday during testimony from forensic examiner Brian Bunner showed Libby filming herself and Abby walking on the Monon High Bridge. At one point, the camera panned up and no one was behind Abby. In a later shot, the video shows a man walking behind her. According to an Indianapolis ABC affiliate, WRTV, a girl's voice is heard on the video saying, "There's no path. The trail ends here, so we have to go down here." Later in the day, a 43-second clip from the video was played. Whoa, okay. So that's interesting. So why that's crazy to me. Why was play the whole damn video? Don't cut pieces. So it's not 30 seconds, it's 43 seconds. Write this down. Hold on. 43-second clip from video played for the jury when forensic examiner Jerry Chapman took the stand for the prosecution. Chapman told the jurors he enhanced the video by putting it through a filter to break it down frame by frame. I want to see the video as is. Chapman said he was able to pull 3 frames of the man's face, which are images that were released to the public, which were not of the face. All right. It's not a face there. Okay. Chapman said he also enhanced the part of the video in which the man is heard saying "down the hill," which was played for the jury. Libby posted a photo of Abby on Snapchat as they walked over the Monon High Bridge. Prosecutor Nick McClelland told the jury last week in his opening statement. After the girls crossed the bridge, they saw a man behind them, and Libby started recording on her phone at 2:13 p.m., he said. The man pulled out a gun and ordered the girls to go down the hill. McClelland said the girls complied, he said, and then the video on Libby's phone stopped recording. Whew, Jesus. The 8th graders' bodies were discovered near the trail one day later. Indiana State Police crime scene investigator Brian Alley testified Monday that both girls' necks were cut, noting that Libby's was viciously slashed. Large pool of blood was visible between their bodies, he said. Alley said some of the girls' clothing was found inside out in the nearby creek. Sticks were partially laid over their bodies. When he and another deputy lifted Libby's body off the ground to place it in the body bag, he said leaves and dirt stuck to her back. Libby's phone in the Harry Potter-themed case was found underneath Abby's body. Tuesday, he returned to the stand and walked the jury through the evidence collected during the autopsies, including sexual assault evidence kit for Abby and Libby, Libby's Delphi swimming sweatshirt with red stains, jeans with red stains, gray bra with red stains, black bra with red stains. Libby's mom wiped tears away. Explain, okay. During the cross-examination, defense attorney asked if any of the recovered DNA evidence was linked to Allen. Responded no. Asked if it seemed like the sticks in between the girls' bodies were placed there intentionally. They appeared to have been placed there by an individual. And he went on to say the sticks seemed to be an attempt at concealment. Allen, a Delphi resident, was arrested in 2022 and has pled not guilty to murder. Allen has admitted to police that he was there on the trail that day, but denied any involvement in the murders according to court documents. Prosecutors said they linked the unspent bullet recovered from the scene to Allen, and the investigator testified that the bullet was found between the two girls. Allen's defense has questioned the handling of evidence, arguing the bullet should have been better photographed by investigators. Okay. Yeah, Catherine, the bottom line is there are a lot of holes in this case. Yes, I'm new. I live in the same town as Miss Abby's mother. She's buried down the road from me. I stayed away from the online BS about the girls' case. Yeah, crazy ones. And I'm going to tell you, so just FYI, I'm a political podcaster, political commentary. We do commentary politically at the local, state, and national level, talk about politics. I'm just talking about this specifically because this is obviously a very big day. Depending on whatever way you look at this, this is a big thing. And this is very important. I think they were hell-bent on getting a conviction. I do hope I'm wrong, but something does not feel right. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, something does not seem right here. And what's interesting to me is from the very early on, there is a true crime podcast in which seemed to be somehow very interconnected with this, which was weird. And that podcast is The Murder Sheet, and I'm not saying anything bad or good about them. I've listened to like 4 of their episodes, and I've only listened to like bits and pieces of their episodes about this case. But what's interesting is there was a probable cause affidavit issued for a search warrant from the FBI back a couple years ago, and that got leaked to the press. And the way that got leaked to the press was through the Murder Sheet, and somehow the Murder Sheet came up with it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I understand how they got it because I get information like this all the time. Someone will give me information that they're like, look, I can't be giving this information out, but I'm giving it to you. And as long as you will keep me quiet, do what you want with this. And I've released information like that a lot. So I understand it. I get it. And I don't, the Murder Sheet is one of the groups that are involved with this that I don't fault. I feel as though they didn't speculate. They talked about what was factually known. One of the hosts is an attorney, and then his wife is the other host, and she's a journalist. And I feel like they did a very good job at staying above the nonsense. That said, when I listened to the few minutes before I went live tonight about their thoughts on the verdict being read, the wife said, oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind he was guilty. He's guilty of all 4. He did this. He's guilty. And I'm like, I don't get that. I don't feel that way. Kate's put a link to the Murder Sheet in the Murder Sheet podcast in the they're linked. You think it's all right, Tweety Bird. So that's interesting. So you think that he's guilty 100% beyond a reasonable doubt. You think that he is guilty. Yeah, they've done a really good job. They were there. I think they were in trial all but one day, and they weren't inside the courtroom today, but there was no way. What they said was, we didn't feel it was important to be in there. It was either going to be, a guilty, a not guilty, or a hung jury, and whatever those results were, they would come out and we would know it. And so they didn't go in today. But other than today, they only were not permitted in under one day. And I think they weren't in the right place in line. But other than that, they were there. They did a fantastic job of covering it. I just haven't had the ability to listen to all of it. And so I know there's things that have been put out that I don't even know. My issue is, I think there's still a lot more stuff that we don't even know now that the trial's over. I apologize, Sweetie Bird. I mean, I don't mean like 100%. I mean like beyond a reasonable doubt. Like what you would, if you were a juror, you would have voted to convict him, is what I mean. So I think that's interesting. I think this is an interesting deal. Obviously, now he will have the ability to appeal. I don't know if he's going to or not. You would think that he would. I mean, it's really strange because he's saying he's not guilty, but he's allegedly confessed to his mother. He allegedly confessed to his wife. As someone said, it's strange. He's got a daughter, and she testified. It's just been 7 years of vagueness. It's really been 7 years of vagueness. And I think that, I understand that the police listen, when I was a cop, social media was just, I remember like MySpace. We did MySpace stuff. You know what I mean? We were on MySpace trying to find the bad guys on MySpace. Facebook had just taken off. People weren't recording cops on every interaction. Everyone didn't have a phone. There wasn't all this stuff going on. That stuff has really just blown up. So I understand that they're trying to navigate an investigation in this new age. And I understand completely needing to pull back and save back information that is investigatory in nature. But there are some aspects of cases like this that I feel like they hurt themselves by not putting out, by not getting out there, whether by way of a massive press release or a leak. Either one of those can work. And so I just feel like they did a lot of vague things in this. I feel like the judge has left a lot to be desired. I feel like the prosecutors have been very strange. The defense attorneys, you've got them fighting back and forth and wanting off the case, and then they wanted on the case. Then the judge wanted them off the case, and all the stuff that was being leaked, and there's so much that surrounded this. That was such a shit show that, in my opinion, it really did a disservice to those little girls. And it really did a disservice to the family. Statute of limitations is a thing that's on some cases, some crimes. Obviously, there's not a statute of limitations on murder, rape. So what people in the state of Indiana need to know is, for, I think, all misdemeanors, the police and prosecutor's office, the prosecutor's office has 2 years to charge you with a misdemeanor after the date that it was committed. Okay. So they have 2 years to charge you on a misdemeanor. On a lot of felonies, like possession of marijuana, OWI, battery, they have 5 years to charge you on a felony. If they don't charge you within 5 years, they can't They can't charge you in year 6 or 7. However, murder and rape and a few others, there are no statute of limitations on. They did have a change of venue. And I think that they actually changed judge early on, and this was like the changed judge, I believe. I might be wrong on that. Maybe it was just the judge, but they went to a new location. But yeah, only time will tell. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, so that's it on that. I wanted to talk about that. I do briefly, before we move on to the last little bit, and we're going to get ready to wrap up here. I do, again, just quickly want to say, obviously, a big shout out to all of the men and women that served. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Big shout out to all of the veterans, Veterans Day. My hat's off, our hats off to them. Thank you for your service. I do want to remind you that Friday, we've got a big special show coming up Friday at 8 p.m., an hour early. This coming Friday, November 15th, 2024, at 8 p.m., we will be talking about the Westell shit show, the wastewater issues. So stay tuned for that. And then I want to let you know that tomorrow there is a big meeting. Folks from Madison County, please understand this. Tomorrow is your last Madison County Council meeting of the year. That's right. You pay your elected officials for 12 months. They only work 11. You tell me what the hell the problem is there. Tomorrow's the last meeting for Mikhail Vaughn, Anthony Emery, and the sheriff's keeper, Ben Gale. So Ben Gale's last meeting is tomorrow. Tomorrow's meeting is going to be a big meeting. You will be able to watch the meeting right here on our channel because Catherine is going to live stream from her phone right here. And you're already set up to do it just like you were doing on election day. I just got to talk you through a couple things that will keep the feed going and to make sure that you've got battery power on you. But I'll talk to you. So I need to talk to you about that, Catherine. But you're already set up to do it just like we were doing on election day. You just got to go in. We'll get you set up and ready to go. It'll be very easy. I'll have it set up for you tonight. All you'll have to do is go in and go live. It'll be easy. All right, that's awesome. So I'll be able to hook you up. You have an extra phone, right? You have an extra phone? That's what you'll need, because you'll need to put whatever phone you're going to record from, you'll need to put on silence or airplane mode or whatever. Do not disturb, but I'll talk to you about that. Then after that meeting, and I will be there, ladies and gentlemen, I was escorted out of the meeting last time, unlawfully, unjustly, by I guess a pig and a poke, by a man that doesn't understand constitutional rights, Sheriff John Beeman, Ben Gale's bitch. So he had his little deputies in brown escort me out illegally against my First Amendment rights. I don't know. It was ridiculous. I had high hopes for John Beeman, but, look, elected officials that are losers are a dime a dozen. It's very few and far between that you find an actual good one. Well, I hope one of the awards they give away tomorrow is an award for sheriff that doesn't understand constitutional rights. The other thing, Fill those seats. Listen, we do need to be there. We need to have people come. People need to be there. Be there, be there, be there. We do need to be there. We need people to show up, show out. We got to be there. It's very important. There's a lot of things going on. They're going to be giving themselves awards. Absolutely nonsensical. That's tomorrow. Afterwards, Catherine and I will be live here breaking it down. So that'll be interesting. I am still waiting. I've got to look at, I got an email from Tweety Bird. Yeah, right. Shockproof. I got an email from Tweety Bird. I will look through that this evening. I just now saw it when we were looking for the other thing. I'm asking anyone out there that would like to talk to me, if you have fears about what's going on with this presidential situation, if you are worried, send me an email and let me know. Here's what I'm specifically asking. I want to know what you think is going to change. I want to know what you think Trump is going to change for you. Specifically, for the men that are out there saying this, that are out there worried for things, I want to know what you think is going to happen. I want to know what the fear is. And I want to know, moreover, I'm interested in how you think, what you think the next step is then. What the plan is. How are we going to survive the next 4 years? What can we do? Is there a way? Because I'm telling you, all of these stations that were calling Trump Hitler, and he was the death of America, the death of democracy, he was the worst thing, they're all changing their tune. CNN, The View, these places, they're now being like, well, we're going to have to deal with him. So he went from being like really, 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 really bad last week to like, all right. In my opinion, like, all that does is it delegitimizes what they were saying 2 weeks ago. Because I'm telling you, if I thought somebody was, the Antichrist, someone was going to be the death of America, if I think that now, that doesn't change next week just because they're in a different position. I still think that. So if your mind is able to change that way, it calls me to question out. So my question is, if that side is not going to do the crazy stuff, if we're going to keep them accountable, if they're going to try and unite the country, what can we do? How can we do that here locally? Yeah. Hiring women left and right for cabinet positions. The first female chief of staff for a president ever. Send an email to us at tpsprogram@gmail.com. Again, that is TPS program. So like T as in Tom, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, or the political spotlight, whichever way you want to go with it. We can do that. And I'm definitely interested in hearing from you on this conversation. I'm opening it up. I'm allowing you guys to talk with me and tell me, if you email me, tell me if you will permit me to use your email, and do one of two things. Let me know if I can use your email with or without your screen name or whatever name you use, or if you don't want me to put your name on it, I can just cut it and use the email without any identifying information. Or if you want to email me without me using the email, tell me that. And I will honor your request. I will tell you, if you send me an email and you do not want me to share it, please put in there. If you send me an email and there's no instructions, I'm going to take it that you're okay with me using it. But if you send me an email that says, do not share this or do not make it my identity known, I will respect that. So let me know. And then lastly, I'm working on some stuff for Sproles. I'm looking into some stuff in Henry County. I'm not 100% sure on where we're going with that. Just looking at some stuff right now. And number two, I'm hearing some scuttlebutt about Dustin Clark in Muncie that I'm also working on. So keep that in mind. We'll be talking about Muncie here in the upcoming soon, as far as Dustin Clark is related. And from everything I'm hearing, Richard Ivey is out of the mayor's office. It's done. He's over. He's gone. He's not even there. Not finishing out the 2 years. He's already gone. His office is packed up. He is gone. It's over. So I find that to be very interesting. Does that connect to Dustin Clark? We'll have to find out. Bet we don't hear anything about Vegas. And I'm waiting on them. They are supposed to be giving me back a printout of all of the record requests that we have completed and they've completed. So hopefully I should find out at least where we stand on that here soon, Alva. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for everything. Thank you to our soldiers, men and women that served. Thank you. You guys take care. God bless. Have a good one. We will see you back here. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so I'll be in the meeting. We'll see you back here at some point. Take care. God bless. Good night. Goodbye.